again. I don't know if this is going to work out any better than the last one, but I just thought I'd come in. I mean, I guess I'm kind of on a nerd. I'm kind of on a nerd kind of a spiel right now, which is fine. I just want to check in with you guys for a little bit, just for a second. I actually had some thoughts about some other things that were going on, and I started the stream earlier, and I somehow ended up going in the direction of, I guess, femininity, emasculation, I guess, is where I was going a little bit. But I'm just trying to check in and see, what in the world is going on with you know, Derek's called the algorithms, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know. I was just honestly, I was looking into language really matters, and word etymology and all these things matter so much. Um, Nerd alert, I was studying, I guess, um, chiasmos or devices or literary devices of repetition, I guess. And then I stumbled on to this chiasmos, and then I started realizing, I started from a visual perspective that X is the letter is also represents, social media. Like, okay, of course, what Twitter turned to X, right? And then I realized that I started digging around a little bit, and then the literary, it's a literary device. The term chiasmos is basically it's a repetition that involves, in which um, the main ideas kind of mirror each other, but then the second part of it is the center of it actually ends up being inverted, which actually highlights the center. But then when I look at the X, I noticed that the X is used to represent so many things in our life. Like, you have X on Twitter. This whole thing with 23 and Me is represented by some level of an X. But then when I look at the Hebrew translation, I was digging around and found that the Hebrew translation is palm of the hand. And it was originally chi. The Greek letter chi actually it came from the Phoenician letter kaf. So I'm just thinking, for you decoders out there or people that are into that kind of a thing, there's something going on there. There's definitely some significance to the symbolism that is chosen today. The symbolism that is chosen for the symbolism that is actually chosen for social media. It's all symbolic. Letters are, I'm finding out that these things, even though I'm not a decoder, but I'm finding out the more, if you just look a little bit, before you know what, you stumble into that the etymology reveals a lot, and you stumble onto a lot more symbolism. There's not just symbolism in terms of literature, not just in animals or colors, or yeah, not just in like the dove or the heart, or it's everywhere. There's symbolism in everything. But then when I look at what's been done with you have the Greek letter kaf, which translates in chi. It actually translates to palm of hand. So I find it interesting that, of course, Elon Musk bought Twitter or whatever for, what was it, 44 or something, was it $1 million? You fact checkers or hack checkers out there, go ahead and fill me in. But it's interesting that he would choose that letter X. And then we see all these X's that are being created in our sky. I mean, I'm just thinking, it's like the palm. I mean, it just makes me think Revelations is jumping off of the page. Um, it's like we are being spoken to through social media. They're speaking, the symbolism is being revealed on social media. And it's things that we take for granted. I mean, I wouldn't say I took the letter for granted. I wouldn't say that I take the alphabet for granted, but we're not exactly trained to challenge letters or representation or language acquisition. We're not trained to do those things. So, yeah, I just thought about that. That's a little bit of a nerdy moment. But what I was talking about earlier was, I was kind of talking about, like, I keep hearing about, okay, so on social media, they're talking about these rappers and, oh, there's some type of agenda. Oh, the industry's dark. Well, we've been saying that for years. So is that new information? No. But when you just think about it, I will agree there's got to be some type of agenda going on. There's got to be some type of agenda going on. Because when I think about it, and I'm not going to stay here very long on this, because I probably could do a video which would get no views. So I'm not going to waste my time there. I'm not going to waste your time. But for what I want to say is that when you go back to, when you go back in history, I think our world or our society has done a great job at emasculating men over the years. And I don't know if it had to be before the 60s. If you go into entertainment, when I think about, and I'm talking about Black men specifically, I started this earlier, so I had to come back and I'm redoing the stream. I'm doing a totally different stream now, okay? So what I'm saying is, even in entertainment, the Black man he has not had, when it comes to, we have the conservative ilk that talks about, oh, the nuclear family and da 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 da. But typically, when you see Black men in entertainment or on the spotlight, it's either going to be one extreme or another. I find it's either really degrading. They either give them a very emasculated role, or they give them a role that's degrading women. They're either being effeminated, or they are degrading women. Okay, now I'm saying that from a, dare I say, a Hollywood or an entertainment kind of perspective, because when I go back, when I go back to in history, when I think about if you just go to the Cosby Show era, okay, you have James Evans from Good Times. You had James Evans from Good Times. You had George Jefferson, they weren't exactly selling that as a wholesome family kind of a show. It was more like, to me, like, you're moving on up, or, you had it was more like allegory or something, like for a social allegory or something, if I could throw it in there. But when you think about it, if you go from, like, most people remember, maybe a happy medium would be like if I talk about the Cosby Show, for example. So say, for instance, the Cosby Show, you went from having something that's somewhat of a wholesome view, like giving a very a high aspirations image of a Black man, a man that has reached, a profession of which, to me, is another brotherhood. He's a doctor. He's married to a lawyer. I mean, I knew a real life Cosby family when I became later in life. I did growing up, but so you had that as the image, okay? So you had that type of image for a Black man. You had a Black doctor, okay? And they're both professionals. He's married to a lawyer, or whatever, okay? And then, to me, that's kind of like influential or pretty high profile professional career. Okay. And then you go from that to, and but your father, I'm going to the father figure. This is where I'm coming at this from the family perspective. We went from the Cosby Show, that image of a Black man, Hollywood or producers or society giving us, or the liberals giving us a vision of a black family man. You went from that to having the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You went from that to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where, he's, where, what is it? Will Smith, his little rap line, it goes, I got into a little trouble and my mom got scared. So she says, you're moving to your uncle and your aunt and uncle in Bel-Air. So then there you got the surrogate. You've got the surrogate father. And I'm telling you, it has been nothing but complete emasculation ever since. Okay. Emasculation or surrogate. It's the surrogate and then emasculation. So you went from the Cosby Show dad with Bill Cosby as the father to a surrogate father with the guy that played Will's uncle. So there again, you got that absentee kind of father. It's a surrogate kind of father. There's never any mention of who was Will's father in The Prince of Bel Air. And then after that, you go into, for those of you that watch, dare I say, I don't want to say black exploitation films, same difference, same impact. You look at these movies that came out, Baby Boy. Then from Baby Boy, you have Baby Boy in these 90s, early 2000s kind of shows, early the 90s. You go to Players Club, which they literally had other black men emasculating other black men in the Players Club. And it's very, it'll wash over you if you're not really paying attention. But then when I watch these movies again in binge or whatever, if I decide to watch these movies, because I don't watch a lot of movies anymore, I kind of shut down after a certain point in movies, Hollywood or whatnot. But this, I thought about the father from Good Times. There's so much power in this. You go from the father of Good Times, which I mentioned earlier, to the father in Good Times on here places cop Freeman, I think is what is referred to. His character Freeman. He's getting on to this guy. They've got the Players Club was, of course, the stripper club, notorious or infamous, Dollar Bill. So Dollar Bill is, running the strip club and, on the church's money and all that. And then, but then you can see the dialogue is very, the dialogue is very effeminizing or very, it's degrading. Like, so then Hollywood uses another black man to degrade or effeminate another man. Or it's like a diet. There's so many things going on right there. There was a scene in that movie Players Club where the father from Good Times, I can't remember what his real name is, but he says to he tells the guy, take some of that bass out of your voice, B. I'm gonna, this is a charge, unless you want to get involved, shut your mouth, So, but to me, it's funny that you would have, if somebody tells somebody to take the bass out of their voice, then to me, that's a man, really, as he can't take the bass out of his voice because he's given that, that's a natural, he's given that naturally. Men can't just take the bass out of their voice. He wasn't singing. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling you, Hollywood, our society has done a great job. To me, it's been social engineering to effeminate not just black men, but men overall. But to me, especially, it's a hit job, a complete hit job. When they're not using the men to effeminate men, they use the women. And it kind of goes back and forth. And to me, it's almost making the strong man or the natural authority of men, it's like it's becoming an endangered species. You're seeing it's almost like it's almost like very 1984 where what's his name, what's Arthur Blair aka George Orwell says, they're going to eliminate abolish the orgasm and abolish it. They're abolishing so many things. There's a famine where men are concerned already. I'm just saying all these things are gradualistically done. And I'm just saying it's almost to the point of extinction. Okay. So yeah, so I'm just saying like there's been to me a huge effort to emasculate the men, to effeminate the men, but they've used men to emasculate the men, even on screen. So I just think that subliminally, I think that has a huge impact on the way people think about men. Or if you think about the music or the culture of that time, you think about what was this guy? Music Soul Child, Show Me How to Love, blah blah blah. How I show me how I can get my emotions involved. It's like the '90s and the early 2000s had a huge impact to bring us to where we are right now. To bring us to where we are right now, they did it. They've done it. It's been a constant campaign attacking the man. Specifically, I'm referring to the black man, the family man, because I think whether I don't know why that agenda is. Um, Thank you. Good morning, Still Waters. Hope you're doing well out there. I appreciate it. So I'm just kind of rambling a little bit, but I'm just thinking of all the I just think there's a lot of distortion out there when it comes to, of course, to the image of man and the black man specifically, and a lot of it has come through media. I think there's a whole movement going on, and I don't know if I don't want to call it feminism, but it's been an emasculating movement for the black man, and I just don't know. But we've supported it though. But black people, quote, African American people, we've supported a lot of this, but a lot of it is so subtle that if you're not paying attention, but I take an issue when somebody says, oh, take some of that bass out of your voice, B, or bitch. If you refer to a man as a bitch, but then you also tell him to take the bass out of his voice, well, aren't you the one that's assaulting and emasculating him? You're assaulting somebody. You're telling somebody to take the bass out of their voice, but yet you're calling them a bitch. I'm just thinking, the stuff that Hollywood has been able to sell, or that they've been able to get over, and it just in order for it to wash over an entire community of people, to me, they have just done a complete hit piece on men, and specifically I'm referring to black men, and they've done it through Hollywood because they know that sometimes people don't do a very good job at discerning real life versus Hollywood. They don't do a good job. So maybe young men think that, oh, I'm not supposed to speak with any bass in my voice, or what if my mom tells me as a man or a young man to take some of the bass out of my voice? To me, that if bass appears to be in your voice, then it's naturally there. Can you turn it up or can you turn it down? Yeah, but that's on the man. That's within him to control his own masculinity. But it's not for another man to get, to tell I can't, to me, that's not manly for another man to say, even as in a storyline, to say, take some of that bass out of your voice, B. I'm doing what I want to do. Because the guy was yelling at him. So I'm just thinking, well, he was a cop with a badge. So, you were the cop with the badge with a weapon on you. If he wanted it, if that's the way he chose to assert his authority, then you just have to shut up and deal with it. But don't try to emasculate the man and tell him to take the bass out of his voice. But to me, that's abuse. And I just think that, dare I say, quote, in the black community slash African American community, there's a lot of trauma, and a lot of trauma we do it to ourselves. We inflict it upon ourselves. We subject it to ourselves. We don't challenge it. We don't fight back. We don't do those kinds of things. And trauma keeps you stuck. And that's why I think there's a lot of things that are just on constant replay, because they want to keep you stuck. But I think there's also an agenda to keep the black man stuck in an effeminate place, not just based on the past of, slavery or Jim Crow laws, or not just that, but you can be suppressed by emasculation. You can be. And I think it's not, here again, for those of you, I'm just saying that I'm not just saying it's black men, but I'm definitely saying it's also men as a whole. But I'm telling you specifics. I'm pretty much just kind of drawing a sequence between what I've seen in black cinema and what they've brought the man to the man of 2025. He didn't stand a chance because Hollywood was doing a hit on him. Hollywood was using black actors to emasculate men. And even the music. Show me how to get, honestly, it just gets to be, I am your mother, blah 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 blah, and that's another issue. It's like, nobody. I really don't think a guy wants to marry his mother, but unfortunately, I think subliminally we are groomed, or we're traumatized into a place, a space that's where I think they do. And I see, this is, like I said, this is out of the wheelhouse a little bit, but but I think it's true. I think it's very much true. Derek C. Williams is here. Well, I just decided to come back, guys. I just decided to come back for just a second, but this is a little bit off script for me, for lack of a better phrase. It is kind of off script for me. I typically don't get into these kinds of topics, but just when I hear, to me, these things are just obvious. It's obvious that certain things are being done or have been done, and yeah, I mean, it's amazing to where we are right now, and if we're not careful, we're going to abolish the man. We're going to abolish the man. We're going to abolish his, socially abolish them. And yeah, but you do that through trauma. Because, I was wondering, when you think about 1984 and about all the things that Orwell prophesies or he speaks of that will be abolished, I think it's going to be done by trauma. And it'll be done by what goes over the airwaves, what we allow in our music, our airwaves, our music, our what we watch, if we watch anything. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a spiel. And then earlier I was talking about the letter X, aka Chi in Greek, aka translated in Hebrew, the palm of the hand, aka we have a lot of things represented by an X right now. We have 23andMe. That's an interesting situation that's going on. And then we have Elon Musk that changed the moniker of Twitter to X. But then I drew it down to a literary device, the chiasmos. Well, hey, there's definitely an inversion there, a mirroring going on in that whole symbol. So there's a lot going on, folks. There's a lot going on, and I really don't think it's pretty dark. The palm of the hand has many implications there. How are you guys doing out there? Excuse me. I'm sorry, I had a little dryness here. Derek C. Williams says, Eric Blair, or AKA Orwell. Yes, a prophet or an insider. I would think he's probably both. He's, dualistic. Who else is here? Still Waters is here. Derek C. Williams is here. You guys feel free to drop your links. Teron, good morning to you. New Wine, a New Creature. Name on the show. Okay, so yeah, of course it was James Evans. I just his I don't know if that was what was his real name. Stillwater says all the hallmarks and red flags of classic narcissistic abusive relationship trauma based lives and bonding. Yes, because we are very much trauma bonded. I mean, I tell people I'm tired of being trauma bonded to my job. Trauma bonded to my job. They're only doing this because it's good for you, or they know best, because they, it's just, I don't know, this whole thing with education. I could really get into that, but it's kind of it's a little bit of a hot button issue right now. But I've told you guys a long time ago that I felt like things were Rome 2.0, and and I haven't changed from that. I still think so right now. Derek C. Williams says government does not want men because men don't do tyranny well. They will resist to the death. Well, they've been doing a number on it, Derek C. Williams, without a doubt. And like I said, I'm saying it, men overall, but certainly Black men, the family man, to me, the emasculation, I think it started with, I think that's been I think that's been the goal all along. Stray Godzilla says, because I would have been a success if I had you as a Oh my gosh. Stray Godzilla 22. I don't know what you're on about, but you're killing me right now. I needed a laugh, certainly. Or as a friend of mine says, I need a laugh to hold back the tears these days. But here's another thing is let's just go, let's make another shift since I'm already all over the place. Let's just make a meal out of it. Now, Walmart, I've been noticing that they have the eggs in Walmart have been crushed. I opened the carton, the eggs are crushed, everything's running all over the place, the yolk is all over the place, and I mean, to me, that's gonna make you know, eggs go up. There's egg lifting going on. I had a person that works at a grocery store. She told me that they've been stealing the eggs from their carton by twos. So folks, check your egg cartons and make sure you're not a victim of egg lift, because I don't know what these people, what the mat, what the method of the madness is, or but I don't know. But she said that they're taking the eggs by two. So if you go in and buy a dozen, you better check your eggs, whether you buy a dozen or not. If I noticed Walmart's been cutting the eggs, of course they cut the cartons in half. So you get a half dozen of eggs. You better check and see if you're not a victim of egg lift. Because if they're doing it at the Piggly Wiggly, they're going to do it at your Walmart, or they're going to do it at your Kroger, or they're going to do it at your Publix, or you know what I mean? Just check, just check. Because pretty soon, it's not. And like I was watching some other, doing a little bit more research. I just noticed even out of the Midwest, the people are saying we got to stand up to this inflation. But I'm like, we haven't stood up to it before now. So it's I mean, inflation has been going on for a while, and I've been saying this economy has been kind of propped up for a while, fluffed up for a while. It's not, all of this is not new, folks. No matter where you place the blame, it's not new. It's been going on. They've redefined what a recession is a million times. We completely had a gaslighting press conferences for 4 years. Everything's fine. What are you talking about? They even had Janet Yellen speaking out about groceries. I mean, is she really worried about the cost of groceries? Seriously. She might even have a personal assistant going out buying. I mean, can you imagine shopping next to, pushing a cart next to Janet Yellen? I mean, what would you say? During that period, what would you have said? No, you're not I don't think it's likely the average American or somebody that's middle class or lower middle class or below middle class. Is there a middle class? It's going to be pushing a shopping cart next to or behind Janet Yellen in the store. If they did, they probably didn't know who she was. Okay? So Godzilla says, I'm going to find another source of protein. Well, yeah, and then what? Yeah, that'll work for a little while, but then what? Because to me, they're coming after the common. Here again, to me, the common man is the one that's going to suffer. I think most people, when they think of staples in their house, whether it's a staple or, they think about bread, milk, and eggs. It's a common staple. Whether you use eggs a lot, use them for baking, or whether you use them predominantly for baking, or whether you actually make breakfast and have eggs every day, or whatever it is, it's still a staple. Yeah, I mean, but to me, it's a poor man's meal. To me, it's up there with, it's kind of up there with, some people think sardines it's a sardine or sardines, or it's a poor man's meal or meat. But in some places in the world, it's actually more of a delicacy, and they pay quite a bit of money for sardines, like places like, Sicily and some of the Mediterranean. It's very, it's not a poor man's meal. So yeah, I'm just saying, but to me, it's not just eggs. Okay. It's not. So I don't know. What are you guys' solutions out there? Stillwater says $7.99 for 18 eggs at Target. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen 18 eggs or for like $30 in some places. Let's see. See, there you go. Here you go with some symbolism. Stray Godzilla 22. I think the egg attack is more symbolic than a strategy. Wow, beautiful. Beautiful. He also says, did you see what's under the pyramid? You mean like power sources? You know, what was it? Egypt. I don't know. What was it? Most of the world's knowledge was what destroyed the library in Egypt was destroyed, I guess, in a conflict, I guess. The library in Alexandria. It seems like historically that's what was said. But I don't know. But then why was it all there in Egypt? But they're the ones. Yeah. There's a lot out here. There's a lot there's a lot of rabbit holes we could go down. Notes. What are you Thebes Library, I think. Thebes or Tebes? Stillwater says these are the actual staples that got past generations through wartime, and in general, they became foods people like that seem to be a bygone era. I need to learn to like the sardines in my pantry. Yeah, I just think that they're going to attack the whole food source will be under attack. Shout out to Marcy T if you're anywhere within the sound of the stream, because I think it's more or less what is it, a war of attrition kind of. They're trying to wear everybody down. I mean, and then to me, like I told you guys on the stream I did before, I think the way to a man's bank account, or to me even to his spirit, is through his gut or through his stomach. If you break people, you know, if you take away their ability to, if you make it more difficult for them to feed themselves, then I think things are going to I'm pretty sure that I think crime's going to skyrocket even more. I don't see any change in the inflation. I don't see it that it's going to be changing anytime soon. I just don't. Derek C. Lewis says, I heard 1 week ago about coiling a mile deep underneath the pyramids. Wow. Well, I haven't done a lot of my own research, but I have heard some theories about there being, if you look at any of the like Egyptian pictures and all those gods and all the things, those little G's, that there was actually, that there was energy, that they had energy sources. You know, they've had a lot of energy sources, and the sun, just that's a whole rabbit hole for sure, for sure. But I need to look that up, Derek C. Williams. If you guys have a link for that, please share it with me. You could drop it here or send it to me. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That these people of ancient civilizations had this technology that we're talking about right now. Technology is speeding up. No. To me, it's that we've already had it. We've already had it. It's always been here. Now, who owns who owns the knowledge? That's why it's funny that knowledge is power. I think literally, because the Egyptians, I think they had it. They had the power. It's not that it is power. It literally is power. And if everybody doesn't have access to it, then they don't have the power. Whether it's architecture or megastructures and engineering, and where does power come? Where'd the knowledge come from? Where did it come from? Let's see. Derek C. Williams says, if the Africans or mixed race group of humans made the pyramids, what species made those jobs? Ooh. Oh my God. Here we go. Still waters. There you go. You're on this. You're on fire right now. Something else. I would love for somebody to dig around on this. Somebody's probably done. I'm gonna not Google it, but I'm probably gonna put it in and see if anybody has anything on these findings, Derek C. Williams, on this giant coil. Derek C. Williams says secret Egyptian tech presentation sent via okay, perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, Derek C. Williams. You're the best. It's nice to see you around here. So yeah, guys, I'm just I was just kind of coming out with just some random stuff, just some thoughts that I had, but certainly yeah, there's a lot going on. A lot going on, and um I don't think and I've been saying this since 2020. Shout out to the class of CV19 or 2020 that things are not going back to, no, they're definitely not going back to where they were. Uh, we're far from it. Stray Godzilla 22 says God said humans were once friends. Well, listen, there was a time where those things where those things were written about. Paganism and dare I say Christianity were kind of running alongside each other. And when I say that, I mean the books that were written, or dare I say the trend, or the literature of the time, or the poetry, or a lot of things were passed down by mouth, word of mouth. When you go back into language, like, I'm going back into the Homer era, and the Beowulfs and the monasteries and all these things. Yikes. We could really go down a big rabbit hole on these. And it's very interesting to me. It's interesting. Important, I think, too. Important versus interesting is one thing I always try to let's get that straight. Let's make the discernment here. Derek C. Willis says, for those in the chat, research the research of Billy Carson, reportedly an expert on ancient Egypt. Let's see, Stray Godzilla says, oh my gosh, Stray Godzilla, are you confirming that you're definitely out of town. you're across the pond, in short. I will certainly look it up, Billy Carson. Billy Carson's channel is called Forbidden Knowledge. Okay, I will certainly give it a whirl. Yes. Because I mean, I've been pretty fascinated with Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Pretty much. That's why I thought Stray Godzilla 22. I've been pretty fascinated with, but I like to do my own research. I don't really like to go with the Hollywood versions of things, but to me, there's a lot of unanswered questions, and there's a lot of things that we're not allowed to. We ask about. If you talk about these things, you might have somebody say, "Oh, this is why you don't have any followers, because you're covering X, Y, and Z." But here we go. Derek C. Williams, Stillwater says, with all due respect, I do not touch anything in agreement that comes out of the mouths of anyone on TV or big channels on YouTube. They are compromised. Well, I will certainly, I kind of like to go into, I'm one of these people that likes to hold a book in my hand. So I am digging around to see what I can find out. Yes, because I've also, the whole Julius Caesar, there's nothing new under the sun. What is that, Ecclesiastes? And I think this is literally, I think all of this has been done before, but, cracking the code on the past is always interesting. Let's see. Stillwater says the devil's time is limited. They get to do it because they want to take as many souls with them. Right. Over misinformation. The Bible says that people. Right. That's Hosea. I don't want to say Hosea. But you're right. I've got a lot of cleaning up that I need to do I'm still cleaning out some social media stuff, just because, we've come a long way from 2020. I'm going to go back to 2020. We've come a long way from that point. And I need to need to get rid of some things for sure. But I appreciate you guys so much for coming in. And thank you so much, Stillwaters, for coming in and for imparting your wisdom with us. And thank you, Um, thank you for sharing. Let's see. I'm going to, yeah, I like to go to look at things from a, try to look at as much thing, I mean, as many things as I can. You know, scripturally, I'm trying to shore my chops up in that regard, because to me, there's a lot of answers there. There's a lot of lessons that we can learn, and yeah. But all we can do is stay. All we can do is stay. We just stay encouraged, and try to endure to the end. Because to me, this is a lot of this stuff is, to me, it's very evident where we are. But all right, guys, I appreciate you so much for coming in, and I'll possibly come back later, but I just wanted to come in with those thoughts on, dare I say, the social engineering of to me, the black man, or the emasculation of the black man via Hollywood, and also through just the letters where we got the the X from, and how X has been used in the Twitter moniker, and how 23andMe uses the X, but they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They know that symbolism, they can say a lot. They can speak to us in a lot of different ways. And when you know that translation between, the calf is the X, which translates to the palm of the hand. And then the literary device, the chiasmus, that's what brought me to that. And then you have chi is a Greek letter, but it was originally calf from the Phoenicians. And these things also had a translation prior to that. And to me, that translation is still, they brought these translations back. They're utilizing these as symbols. They're utilizing symbols from ancient societies today. So I'm going to get out of here. Oh, no way. He said, did I know that the former late CEO, Susan Wojcicki, is sisters? No, I did not know. Oh, my gosh. That's an interesting. If you guys have anything on that, let me know on that 23andMe. I never submitted to any of that. I never sent those people anything. Because, of course, now the worry is with the people that probably submitted it, that submitted their DNA or whatever. They're probably not even worried about it. They're probably not even worried about what could happen to their samples. They're not. They think it's all sunshine and unicorns. So for now, guys, I will see you later, and have a great rest of your day. Let's see. The Republican Congress. Let's see. Former CEO Wojcicki. Wow. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's all aggressive right now. Derek C. Williams. I know more about it, about the swell in the cancer numbers than I care to know, but I appreciate it so much. Let me know. Thank you so much for coming in. You guys go ahead and drop your links in the chat. I will see you guys later.